And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection, I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. The German education system is recognized for its significant focus on vocational training and early categorization of students into its distinct educational routes. While mandatory education begins at the age of 6 and lasts until the age of 15, the system diversifies into several secondary and third levels. We begin today's Open Connection with co-founder and executive producer of Six Sigma Productions, Jason Hamburg.
When I first started, I kind of went in not too sure what I wanted to do. I really enjoyed writing and creative stuff throughout high school, but ended up kind of pursuing the business degree program. So I have a Bachelor of Commerce, and then kind of halfway through, originally I was going to be an accountant or a finance major. Realized that was not for me at all, and I ended up taking on a human resources degree. So I have a human resources Bachelor of Commerce from UNBC. And basically right up until a couple months before graduation, it was sort of this vision that I was going to pursue human resources, work at some sort of big company. I grew up and my dad had a logging contract, so I sort of saw the entrepreneurial life and wasn't necessarily sure if that was for me. Was thinking I just wanted to kind of go into, being a cog in the wheel of a big company. And towards the end of school, a few of the mountain bike and ski videos that me and my friends had been making sort of got noticed by someone who was doing marketing consulting in town, and they asked us to make a little promo video for a gym. And at that point we sort of yeah, sure. And we didn't think much of it, and ended up making that snowballed into someone who went to the gym wanting something made. And then before we knew it, it was people wanted invoices and stuff. You sort of had to decide, is this going to be what we're going to pursue? So my business partner, Glenn, he and I met through skiing, and like I said, we were making ski videos and dirt bike and mountain bike stuff. And we sort of saw it as an opportunity it's hey, we're broke students, let's just go be broke business owners for a few years and have some fun with it. And that was in 2014. So we're going on about 11 years now with the company.
Any business, one of the hardest things to do sometimes is decide on a name of a business. Yours is kind of unique. Could you tell me a little bit about that kind of background?
Yeah, so Six Sigma actually comes out of, I was in a finance class at university, and Six Sigma manufacturing methodology was sort of this concept developed by Motorola back in the late 1980s. And when we were learning about it, I was just oh, that just sounds cool, Six Sigma. And so we sort of started to call our group of friends, and we would put it at the end of our edits, the Six Sigma crew. So then when the company ended up kind of forming, it was a pretty natural transition to just be I guess we're called Six Sigma. And then we always joke, we just spell it weird with the 6 in front to make explaining our emails hard over the phone.
Into adventure riding, I definitely didn't feel like I could point to somebody and be that person is like me and they're doing it. When we first started, it was sort of, everyone did everything. Where, we all sort of just considered ourselves, I guess you would say, videographers. So we were leading projects, filming, editing, kind of directing, producing, helping each other out where we needed. But about 4 years ago, our company went through a pretty big transition where we really kind of transitioned from a videography company into more of a commercial production company, meaning we were kind of taking on projects that were a lot bigger in scope, a lot more complex, and you sort of had to have more structured roles and responsibilities. And so Glenn has always really been the best behind the camera, so he really leaned into cinematography. And Daniel, our director, he's really he's the story-driven guy. He's the film nerd of the crew. And again, I kind of joke, I was the only one willing to live inside the spreadsheets and figure out locations and contracts and all of that. And so that's where my role as a producer it was something that I have always sort of done and probably had the most confidence with. But yeah, over the last few years, we've all definitely kind of divided and conquered and leaned into
the roles that we have that are a little more sort of like concrete rather than trying to do everything. It's like we work as a team to kind of make the projects happen.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. The term exposure bucks refers to the idea of receiving payment for work, particularly in creative fields, through the promise of gaining exposure through a larger audience instead of receiving actual monetary compensation. Let us return the conversation as Jason shares how he spent his exposure bucks.
Yeah, well, that was sort of the joke. Like when we made that first video for a gym in town, the guy who asked us to do it, he's like, you don't really have anything in your portfolio, so like they can't pay you, but it's a good opportunity. It's the classic creative's curse, right? Where it's like, oh, well, you can do it for exposure. And in reality, it was a really good decision, and it was something that did advance us. We were able to leverage that. And, it went from $0 to I think about $500, and that $500, I bet if we look back, we were making like 30 cents an hour to get it all done. But then when that project sort of came out, it was seen by someone who then was like, I want this for everyone on my team. Boom. Now we have, a bulk order for like 40 videos, and they're like, oh yeah, just send the invoice to here. So I remember it was a pretty cool feeling, sort of, getting everything set up and sending out that initial invoice, and you're like, dude, we're going to be rich. And then you realize instead of working for 30 cents an hour, you're working for $1.30 an hour or something. And that's just been the slow progression of the company. It's kind of learning out all that and figuring it all out.
Hey kid, you don't know what you have yet, but trust me, it's pretty great.
I mean, over the years, I think we've produced now projects into like the thousands. And every year I feel like we have a ton of them that sort of come and go, and I oftentimes even just forget they happened. But then there's some that really stand out. I would say the two main areas that we try to focus on would be sort of like commercial type work. But then we also like to stay involved in sort of like documentary type projects, and having the blend of the two is nice. The commercial stuff you have a lot more control over. You can sort of map it out, have a real structured plan, and then you're going out and you're executing on that plan. And then the doc stuff is a little more kind of discovery based. It's like you have to be flexible and kind of go that route. And we have been fortunate that over the years we've been able to kind of keep a foot in both camps. So yeah, I mean, early on, I remember a few projects where we did some stuff with the city of Prince George. They sponsored a doc project where we did like profiles on outdoor adventure athletes. It was called Hidden Heroes, and that was a really good one to sort of like get our feet wet and understand what that workflow looks like. And then, yeah, I mean, we still are doing that sort of work now, just at a higher level. Our expectations go up, who we're working with and the complexities of their expectations goes up. And yeah, it's a fun process.
When first contact was made, we lost part of that culture. The thing that we do was dying out. The teachings were disallowed.
The interesting thing about documentary is like
to bring that
you're
back is everything.
Always sort of thinking about opportunities, and you'll meet someone in passing or you'll hear about something. And actually, coming back to your previous question, one of the things that really stands out for me as probably continues to be one of our favorite projects. I guess it probably would have been 2018, 2019-ish maybe. We had an opportunity to pitch on a few ideas for some sort of documentaries, and so our team came together and kind of came up with some ideas. And one of the ideas that we put forward was a story about a math tutor here in Prince George who he actually was my math tutor when I was in high school. He lived down the street from Daniel, and he was a real kind of quirky visual looking character, but then also just in how he carried himself was pretty interesting. And so he was one of the potential subjects that we put forward to this funder. We actually got some money to make a documentary from TELUS's original team. And so we put, his name was Brij Berry, Mr. Berry, as most people knew him, and we put that concept together and presented it. And over the next about year, we worked on this documentary with him. And that one definitely stands out as you don't really know what you're getting into until you're in it. And then that process is just like, it's just super, it's super sort of like, I don't even know the word that I'm looking for. You have to be very connected to who you're working with, and they have to be connected to you, and you sort of both have to be understanding of the process and trying to really make something that's true and honest, but also interesting. And he was an awesome subject for that. He was kind of, you could just point the camera and get him talking, and before you knew it, you just had all sorts of stories that you could explore deeper.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Eye contact is a powerful tactic for establishing communication and trust. By maintaining eye contact, you signal the participant that you are present and focused on them. However, it is important to strike a balance. Too much eye contact can be intimidating, while too little can make you seem disinterested. Let us return to the conversation with Jason.
The trust is a huge thing. We ask a lot out of the subjects in our films, whether it's documentary or even on the commercial side. I think that's one area where our director Daniel is so good. He builds such a rapport with people so quickly and instills a lot of trust. They have faith that what it is that we're making is going to be portrayed in a good way. And if you don't have that trust, it's pretty hard to sort of push a square peg through a round hole, Since about 2017, we've worked with a motorcycle tourism, I call them a consortium, but it's essentially, they're called Route 16. It's a gathering of municipalities and regional districts and stuff who sort of come together in an effort to promote motorcycle tourism along Highway 16, sort of between Valemont out to Prince Rupert. And we've worked with them since 2017, but over, I would say, the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, the creative leash has sort of extended to the point where it's like they kind of just come to us and say, make stuff that motorcyclists will really resonate with, that people are going to love. And that's been a lot of fun. So the way that we've approached that over the years now is just we sort of, depending on where the gaps are in their content ecosystem, we'll say, okay, well, this year we're going to shoot it in Terrace, or we're going to shoot it in Kitimat. And this past year we're going to shoot this in Kitimat. And then we just kind of explore ideas for characters and subject matter that we can talk to. And so, in mid to late July, we came out to Kitimat for a few days. We brought a character who is actually originally from the UK, now lives in Squamish, but just got back from a huge motorcycle trip down into South America. And so we sort of brought in this outsider into Kitimat, and it was just really fun, sort of like sharing his story, connecting with locals who also ride, and then also just getting to like see someone who's not from the region just take it in, and be so impressed with like the scale and how remote things feel and how sort of like quiet it is, So since 2017, we've sort of shot all along that corridor in Prince Rupert and in Terrace, up into Valemont area, all sorts of places. And it's always really fun. Like I said, probably it's my favorite part, is bringing people who aren't from the north into the north and just seeing their reaction to what it is up here. Sometimes it sort of like cements ideas that they have, and other times it completely changes ideas that they have, which is cool.
It really hits me in the heart to share.
Again, coming back to that idea with documentary work where you want to try to have a bit of a plan, but you can't be so rigid in your plan that you're not willing to find new opportunities, find new things to shoot. So we have a bit of an idea of a story arc on these types of projects, but then at the same time, you have to basically sit down, and that's where Daniel and Glenn will sit down and sort of edit together and craft the narrative and start to kind of figure out visually how that's all supported. And we're sort of doing it in a weird way where we've captured a ton of stuff. It's just now making sense of how does it all sort of piece together like a puzzle. So yeah, I mean, our team will sort of work on it intermittently over the next few months, trying to craft that narrative, figure out all of the visuals. And I would say by the end, they'll have, a few hundred hours just editing time sunk into it in order to make it what it is.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Covering Highway 16 along all the communities, side roads, and experiences it links, Route 16 serves as a motorcycle touring hotspot aimed at highlighting the journey through the core of British Columbia. In this final segment of Open Connection, we'll bring you highlights of Six Sigma's production videos, but first, Jason gives us a little background on the videos.
They're not super long. I would say probably 3 to 6 minutes is kind of the range that we're looking for. We typically are shooting for, I would say, 3 to 5 days worth of shooting. And then, that sort of 3 to 5 minute range is good. And then we'll make a bunch of other more like commercially focused short form stuff that it'll be teasers and trailers and stuff that ideally point people to learn more about Route 16. And the thing that's cool about Route 16, even as a client, is that because they've given us this creative leash, we've been able to really find some success with promoting the route to markets all over Western Canada and down into the States. And, the group goes to motorcycle shows and people know who we are now. They know who Route 16 is. They're familiar with the route. They talk about wanting to get out to the coast or wanting to get up into the Nass Valley and all of these places, which is great.
They still do. I don't know exactly how to say
There's
this.
a lot of planning that does go into how are we going to actually shoot this, whether it's with drones or with rigs on the sides of vehicles that are chasing or leading motorcycles. And it's an interesting challenge too. Obviously, shooting for this particular client since 2017, it's like you can't just keep making the same thing, right? So the story is one thing, but you also want to progress yourself from a technical side, working with different kind of rigging and setups and different ways. Can we mount the camera to a bike, or can we get out on the ocean and film in that way, or whatever that might be? So yeah, that's where Glenn's world really opens up, where it's like Dan will sort of dictate as the director, this is who the character is, this is what the story that I kind of want to tell, and then Glenn as the cinematographer's job is how do we visually represent that.
You have what you're looking for at your fingertips. Surround yourself with nature.
The commercial side is interesting, obviously, with the doc stuff or the short films. We're submitting those to film festivals and winning awards and that sort of stuff. On the commercial side, it does sometimes just boil down to how much website traffic can we get, or how many click-throughs can we get, and that sort of thing. But again, we keep working with clients and they keep bringing us back. So there's something must be working. On the commercial side, we are still trying to, we kind of have found a bit of a place in the market where a lot of the work that we're doing doesn't necessarily feel super commercially driven, I guess you could say. We're not doing a ton of, buy this chocolate bar now. It's a little bit more in the realm of, recruiting to municipalities or recruiting to organizations or talking for nonprofits about like the work that they do and that sort of stuff, but trying to do it in ways that creates a bit of an emotional connection to the audience and gets some traction and gets people talking about different ideas and things that they're thinking about.
The valley, the flow of the river, the shape of the mountains. We use all those and incorporate them into our formula.
We have a core team of 4 of us. So there's myself and Daniel, Glenn, who I've mentioned, and then producer as well, Nadine, who's just recently joined us. She's a new addition to Northern BC, so welcome to her. And we have this sort of flexibility where we can, if we need to, we can go out and be super nimble and lean. I would say a small production for us is just the 4 of us, where we just go out and can get it done. But then again, on the commercial side, we'll sort of scale up as needed. So a bigger production for us would have, 15 to 20 people involved, and it's just kind of a continued division of labor. So we're bringing in makeup artists and production designers and wardrobe stylists and people to help with lighting and grip and all that sort of stuff. And that is sort of a bit of our vision for Six Sigma. It's like, we want to make global level content from Northern BC. And does that mean we're going to be able to do every type of commercial? No, probably not. But I think that's sort of what we're trying to create, is a bit of an ecosystem of talent up here, the right kind of equipment, and an ability to bring more productions into Northern BC and, utilize the locations and the people and the talent that we have up here.
So, you want to work together. Then don't tickety box me.
We are not just another hoop to jump through.
We are proud to have economic development on Indigenous land, but we are more than an obligation to be satisfied, then swept aside.
You want to work together? Then let's really work together.
Real partnerships based on respect, reciprocity, and responsibility.
All the big R's.
It's relationships before revenue.
From the river's edge to the mountaintops, we have the knowledge, the values, the skill, and the drive to create new projects in our territories, true to our values. But we do it in a different way, and it's working. So don't tickety boxes. Join us.
They said teachers, when they retire, can do only 2 things: sell old cars or insurance.
You see this older guy who's got his, his hair's kind of all out of sorts and his shirt's like half tucked in, and he's kind of he's like crazy looking.
I don't know, he reminds me of like a wizard, mad scientist.
So all I would see was this Indian Einstein character walking around the halls.
He looks like Einstein.
Albert Einstein.
Einstein.
Could think of like Einstein without the mustache, but with a tan.
To me, Nisga'a is the most important thing for me. We're a very resilient, passionate, loving nation that welcomes everybody. We go by Mother Nature. It is everything. The role that Carver plays in any community and nation is they're storytellers. People refer to us as medicine people.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.